Good afternoon, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here with another detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion for Friday, June the 28th, 2028. As always, my thoughts in this live stream are mine alone, and making any decisions, please consult the National Hurricane Center and your local officials for the latest information for where you're at. So, of course, we have a very busy Atlantic to talk about in today's live stream coverage as we continue to monitor now what is now being dubbed Tropical Depression at number 2 was Invest 95L just a few hours ago. We have another tropical wave that we're watching that is coming off of Africa. And then, of course, we have another area of disturbed weather that is somewhat impacting the Yucatan. Will soon do so this evening into the next couple of days as this tracks towards the west-northwesterly direction at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Today's live stream focuses on Tropical Depression number 2. This is the zoomed in view satellite imagery looking at the depression. We'll even get a little closer than this, but we can see the environmental aspect of this is that the drier air is actually being washed away as what most models have projected. This is a look at those clouds, the nimbostratus, which do indicate while there is some instability in the low levels, there's a lot of stable Saharan dry air aloft, and that usually will arrest tropical development. But in this case, this is in a good envelope, and we can see where that leading edge of that envelope, where that moist pocket is, and this is well inside of that moist pocket, so we are likely to see this to continue to organize. Now, when we look closely at the system, this has definitely organized a lot more over the last couple of hours. And what I mean by organization, we are starting to see more banding to the cirrus flow. See this cirrus canopy, these feathery white cirrus that are going outward? That tells us there's not a whole lot of shear here, and there's easterly wind. But look at how pulsating and burstiness, well, this is more persistent, but very big bursts of deep convection that are occurring just to the west of the low-level center. And where I think that low-level center might be is it might be located right here, where again we have westerly winds doing this on the southern side, then they come all the way around like this and close off a low-level center. But while I don't think there's going to be deep convection yet over the eastern side of the low, that's because there is a little bit of a hint of that easterly shear. When you look at just the overall look to this, it looks a little more asymmetric where it's more weighted on the western side, and that's because, again, some slight easterly flow that is encroaching onto the system. But we're not talking about westerly shear that is cutting across it like this, which would otherwise bring a lot of the deep convection onto the eastern side of the circulation. So while this might be sloppy enough to still deem this as a which is an investigation of 95L, there's enough deep convection and it's persisting long enough to where I strongly think, and Tropical Tidbits, in accordance to his website, have this now at a tropical depression with winds of 35 miles an hour. So looking at the latest NHC outlook, again, this is from earlier today. We'll see if this actually has updated, and it has not. So still, in all, it's 100% chance of tropical development, which essentially means that it's already forming. We already have a tropical depression, or will soon, or we'll have one very soon, within the next 4 or 5 hours or so, if the deep convection is able to persist. This is again from the National Hurricane Center. And hurricane watches, tropical storm watches could be required for portions of that region of the Windward Islands. So St. Lucia, Barbados, especially Barbados. I'm really concerned about that island because we could be looking at some devastating, catastrophic impacts from this system due to heavy rainfall, serious winds, folks. This is something to not take very lightly at all, and I don't like to hype things up. This is worth hyping up about because we have a system that is quickly evolving. Unfortunately, we are not able to give out the hurricane models yet, but we do have some from WeatherBell and we'll be showing those in a second. Because tropical tidbits, how it works is once a system develops, this gets scratched off. So hopefully soon, by the end of this live stream, we'll be able to get more hurricane models out on this. But for right now, just believe me, folks, we are looking at a hurricane on the approach to the islands of the Windward Islands, the Lesser Antilles, by Monday or even Monday afternoon. So this is the GFS model. This is a global computer model. This is a numerical model that uses data in numerical language or mathematical equations that can actually forecast the weather pretty good. Not perfect, but does a pretty good job at it. And this is a look at the 850 millibar vorticity plot. The color shadings indicate more vorticity. Yellow areas indicate very little vorticity. And this is a look at the low-level wind and the low-level steering current flow. So going forward, here is what we look for. Once again, this is, again, tropical depression number 2. Again, it's not official from the NHC. I want to make that clear, but it is official from the Tropical Tidbits website. In fact, let's just take a pause at this map, and if we just go to current storms, there it is right there, tropical depression number 2. And some of the intensities that we will get to in just a little bit really are mind-boggling. And look at the deep convection on that. That is immensely intense, and that's what we're watching. So again, unofficial from the NHC, but official from the storm prediction, from tropicaltidbits.com. So yes, this is certainly going to be a tropical storm on approach to the Lesser Antilles by the time we go into Monday morning, Monday afternoon. If it's going to be a hurricane at this point, it is hard to say because the system is evolving pretty quickly. I mean, yesterday we were only looking at a 60 to 70% chance, and now we have a tropical depression on our hands to track. And so going forward, this is going to be a pretty significant hurricane as it crosses the islands here for Monday afternoon. If we take a look at our low-level wind plot, that's a 986 on the GFS, and then, actually, no, that's a 966, my bad. 966 gets down to 965 millibars. That is a pretty substantial hurricane, possibly a Category 2 hurricane as it crosses into the Eastern Caribbean. And then still in today's model runs, we still have a potential landfall here over the Haitian Peninsula of Hispaniola, potentially near Puerto Rico. There is still some uncertainty in the numerical global computer models on how this all evolves. If we look at the last 5 runs, there has been a trend now to the north here over the Haitian Peninsula. But what I'm about to show you from the Super Blend, which is a blend of the UK Met, the European, the Canadian, and the GFS ensembles, clearly show that the GFS is on the far northern or right side of the model envelope of potential outcomes. All right, so again, heavy rainfall, big time winds. We're looking at catastrophic impacts due to heavy rainfall over the Haitian Peninsula or potentially over Jamaica. And let's not forget, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on our next system that is coming off of Africa because we could only do one system at a time. But I can tell you right now, there are 2 potential tropical storms, if not a hurricane or 2, that could be impacting the, one is very likely, and the other one is a possible. And this one, too, could become our next named storm potentially. The GFS is going back and forth on how that one all evolves. There's more uncertainty with that one. But the thing that is for certain is we could be looking at 2 named storms as we go into early July, which is typically climatological speaking not very ideal. We're not supposed to have this much activity in late June into early July, but instead we are seeing a lot of that. And because of the reason because of that is the shear is going to be very weak. And if we actually just simply look at our GEFS ensemble forecast here, again, a blend of several members put together into one ensemble, we can see what that looks like. So here's our system. Again, really take note. We do have shear here. So that's interesting. While the operational deterministic GFS does not indicate that, This is, again, a blend of many models or many members put together. And we do have some increasing shear here, but only about 20 knots, which is on the northern end of unfavorable conditions, and that could be a good thing for people that live here over the Yucatan. If this weakens in a hurry, I doubt that will happen. It'll still bring impacts, but maybe they won't be as bad as what we thought. And then we'll have to keep an eye on this next disturbance here. This could be in a more favorable environment if we look at the upper level winds too. On the southern side of that subtropical ridge that's to the north at 200 millibars, that could be something to really watch. Now, why, people would think that, 95L / depression number 2, it should be in unfavorable conditions. Well, it's somewhat in a mediocre environment right now. If we take a look at that shear forecast, there is, again, some easterly shear impinging on the system. Not a whole lot of shear, but enough to probably kind of stunt it a little bit. But this upper level troposphere trough, what we call a TUT in the Atlantic, is a cutoff low from the overall flow, and these usually retrograde. In this case, this is actually going to retrograde and actually retreat northward. And so as we go forward, this is going to find itself in a very favorable environment, and a lot of people think it's not really going to be that favorable. It, of course, isn't right now over the Lesser Antilles, but that shear really wanes away in time for our system down here to move into that environment. And of course, we, again, will have to keep an eye on this little guy probably in the next 2 or 3 days. I'm going to be very busy here in the weather office, keeping you all updated each and every day on the tropics as this remains a threat. Now, the only thing we have today is the moisture plot, also from the GFS again. I'm sorry if I'm not able to bring up hurricane models. They are not available to anyone, including myself. We can't bring those up at all because, again, now that we have a depression, we now have, it has to re-render. So the moisture plot looks like this. Brown colors indicate a lot of dry air. Turquoise colors indicate a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And no surprise, we have relative humidity values that are pretty high at this time. And we will look at the plot from the GFS model. So if we go back, we can see there is some disconnection to the vortex. We have the mid-level vortex over here. We have the surface vortex, likely, again, due to that easterly shear that we're looking at. But what ends up happening is in the next 48 hours, the two vortexes become vertically stacked and aligned. Once they become vertically stacked and aligned, we're able to get a bona fide system. And at times, some of the models do indicate that this could happen at a very rapid rate. Explosive intensification is not out of the question. All right, so another help graciously from weatherbell.com here shows how strong this might end up becoming. So thankfully, this has not been put into newest rendering models yet on halves B and halves A on the system. But we can see definitely organized. We're very much likely seeing tropical storm force winds on the northern side of this system. We even have tropical depression force winds on the southern side. So definitely a bona fide system. And look at what happens by tomorrow morning. We could have a strong tropical storm, and it is not surprising given the deep convection burst. Right here in the last few frames, look at just how intense that is. If we actually go over to our long wave IR, this is very explosive convection. Actually, it has to load. Excuse me for the apologies there. Tropical tidbits, likes to give us a hard time sometime. And you can see right here, very, very explosive convection is ongoing. So it is not surprising now that we could very well have a tropical storm by tomorrow morning, believe it or not. And then watch what happens. This is on the halves B run. This gets pretty intense. 60 hours from now, we could be looking at a Category 2 hurricane. And then look what happens when it hits Barbados. Still looking at a major hurricane potentially. Now, this is one model run, folks. This is not an ensemble forecast. This is one specific model. If we look at different models, so let's look at the HAVSB. Too bad, so sad. We are not able to bring up the HMON model because they only have 2 selections here. So we're going to bring up the HAVSB run. And did that run? Did that come out? Okay, this is the HAVSB. Sorry, the HAVS-A model shows something similar, but only that the system is a little further to the south. So either way, though, major hurricane, 111 plus mile an hour winds. That's a major hurricane on this forecast model. And it could end up intensifying even when it passes these islands. Look at this, 131 mile an hour winds. That's a category 4 on the HAVS-A model. And then it still remains a major hurricane even when it reaches the Haitian Peninsula of the Dominican Republic. This could be a really devastating event, folks. I don't say that very lightly because we've seen this long enough on the models, the GFS hurricane models. Really, the Euro, I'm not going to show the Euro. That is a very conservative outcome. It's barely showing a tropical storm here. I'm not kidding when I say that. Barely a tropical storm at all with this whole duration type system. That is a possibility, and we'll see how that all shapes up. But right now, it is looking more likely than not that we are going to have a tropical storm, if not a hurricane, by the time this makes landfall or crosses some of these islands of the Lesser Antilles. And for reference, this is Barbados here. So it hits Barbados right around Monday late morning. So this would be about 8 or 9 in the morning on Monday. And you can see where the eye is. The eye wall hitting the island there. There is some intense wind gusts potentially exceeding 160 miles an hour. And then it hits here. This is St. Lucia right here. And then this is St. Kitts and Nevis, something like that. You get the idea. But I wanted to show you also, and I explained this to Ethan, about the topography on this island in specific. Now, while the hurricane model has wind gusts on top of the island or sustained winds of only 40 miles an hour, I'm concerned that the HAVS-A or the HAVS-B are not modeling the winds on top of these higher mountains very well. So when we actually go to Google Earth and actually sample the topography on St. Lucia here, we can see there is a narrow passage here. We got tall mountains. So we got tall mountains right over here. We got some tall mountains over here. So again, kind of a little bit of a canyon or a little bit of a gorge. So if the angle of attack, you can think about this, if the angle attack on St. Lucia is perfect in this case, not perfect in a horrible way, because again, you can think about winds are actually going to want to flow and kind of in a kind of a narrowing pipe configuration where you have winds actually that do this, and you have winds that actually want to do this, and then you have winds that may want to flow through these canyons. It is possible you could get sustained winds of over 150 miles an hour over this passage, and I talked about this with Ethan last night. Over this narrow passage, these canyons could really channel the wind through quickly. You have sustained winds of 150 with wind gusts over 200 miles per hour on this island. So anyone living over some of these islands, we could have some devastating impacts. I mean, catastrophic impacts. Even so, yes, surface winds 122, but we got to understand, if this is if the winds get channeled through here briefly, we could have a brief period of extreme wind speeds through this island. Now for St. Kitts and Nevis down here, one of the bigger islands, there is a possibility this goes further south, but the topography on that island does not generally favor that what would be felt on, say, St. Lucia. All I know is there has been a lot of consistency in this area, in this box. If you're in this box right now, okay, there is a potential that the center itself, with hurricane winds, devastating flooding, storm surge, and impacts, could impact, say, If you are, again, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, some of these other islands, and down here, Trinidad and Tobago, probably not going to see a landfall, but you could see some winds, some gusty winds from time to time with this. And some of those outer bands might bring in some light to moderate rainfall, but it's really this box, yet again, this box that I'm really, really concerned about for some significant flooding. We can see rainfall amounts as much as 8 or 10 inches, perhaps with this. We could be looking at hurricane force winds for sure on one of these islands. We could be looking at, of course, some storm surge on some of the estuaries, especially when you get that onshore flow. And again, I closed out Google Earth. Again, sorry about that. But I did want to show you all what I mean by storm surge, because there are some estuaries here where the water could pile up. Bet on some very high surf. We could see waves possibly as high as 30 feet perhaps with this. And so if we go and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and as well as, again, Grenada down here. Actually, that's Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis down here as well. Oh, wait, no. St. Kitts and Nevis is up here. Oh, my gosh. I got my islands confused. Sorry about that. Okay, I got to get that down. I am so sorry, folks. I am so sorry if I said St. Kitts and Nevis, but yeah, you guys could be impacted. This is Grenada. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a little bit better. See, I can memorize. Let me just say something. You guys are all going to laugh at me. I can memorize Barbados, St. Lucia, and Martinique. All these islands to the north. These islands, I don't know why I can't get them right. So I'm glad I did this time. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines, these are some tall mountains. I'm telling you, 3,000 feet, you get that orographic effect. You can get some devastating flooding. Some of the estuaries, some of the harbors in here, we could be looking at some significant flooding, but especially over St. Lucia, you get some of these gulches in here where it piles up the water, where we can see some storm surge concerns as well. But again, that orographic flow will really channel that rainfall up the side, and it's going to be a big problem. Barbados, let's take a look at Barbados. Barbados is a little bit more flatter, but the tallest area there is still about 1,000 feet. And again, we do have a lot of people that live on these islands, so that's why I'm a little worried about what might be coming around the doorstep. So rainfall on this, so let's go back. So some outflow type shower activity, some banding futures could approach Sunday night. And then here it comes, Barbados. Look at that eye wall, very intense eye wall approaching Barbados by Monday morning. This is the 1st of July. Actually, you know what? If this becomes a hurricane, it would be probably the last day of June. It still counts. June hurricane. Yeah, you don't see that very often in this area. It's very unusual. And yeah, we're going to be seeing something. So you can see here, lots of rainfall. Probably definitely going to be live streaming this live as it approaches these islands, because we're going to have live recon data to investigate the system. We're going to have a tail Doppler radar mission that we're going to get you all. So we're going to give you some live updates. I'll just kind of disclose this, that radar data over here is not available. So I'm not able to bring that up. Maybe you guys know a radar source that I can pull up. We'll get to when we get to questions, I'll ask you guys that. My question to you all, to that. So St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, very intense rainfall. Look at the magenta colors on that. That is some very intense rainfall. And then look at this feeder band right in here, moving over, say, Martinique as well. Going to get some intense rainfall out of that. That is troubling. And this moves into eventually, look at this, the Haitian Peninsula. Gosh, 66 decibels. That is insane before this gradually weakens, because it might end up with some shear. Well, I'm very curious now with let's see what simulated IR shows on this. I'm very curious. Yeah, you can see what IR shows. And once this moves over Barbados, and then eventually, look at that eye. Look at that deep convection surrounding the system. Again, here is St. Vincent St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And then, of course, here is St. Lucia. Here is Dominica. Martinique is down here. And wow, that is one intense hurricane. And then maybe an eye wall replacement cycle with that deep convection moving over the Haitian Peninsula. So that's the halves B. Let's look at the halves A model. Let's see what that actually looks like. Very similar with its formation of... Okay, here it is. You can see definitely very intense as far as the satellite goes. Wind gust forecast there, 128 miles an hour. Halves B again, let's go back to the halves B, showing wind gusts potentially exceeding 150, 160 miles an hour. Then maybe later on could approach 170 on the approach to the Greater Antilles. So now, more help that we have in today's update is from the Super Blend. This is a look at the Super Blend forecast, showing us what is the possible outcome. And remember how I was going to show you all this? The GFS is on the far right side of the cone of uncertainty. If we actually... You're kidding! You're literally kidding me. Why is it all the time when I want to bring up a system, nothing loads in? Nothing actually loads in because this is a tropical depression. So unfortunately, we're not able to bring that up to, with you all. But here's a look at the GFS and its ensembles. You can see here the chances of potentially seeing a tropical storm or hurricane is up to about 30 to even 40%. And of course, I'll look at over the Lesser Antilles down here, pretty much at an 80 to 90%. When we look at our model forecast tracks for 95L slash tropical depression number 2, we already, again, look at how tightly clustered that is. That's what we look for some confidence. And again, if it gains latitude at this rate, we're going to be looking at, in about 3 days from now, this is going to be approaching Barbados, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as if you are on Dominica, Martinique Island, that it's going to be approaching that. And again, this is the H-Wharf. The GFS, again, is on the furthest right side, probably indicating that it's going to intensify a little bit faster than what most of these models indicate. Now, I'm not going to update you all on the intensity or else this is not going to exist. So I'm going to show you with what the 12Z run showed on 95L this morning. And we did get an update from Tropical Tidbits. This is probably a little outdated, but believe me, folks, you can look it up for yourself. I don't want to lose this data, but in this case, a couple of them, the H-Mon and the H-Wharf have this at a major hurricane. Most, or if not all of the models here have this at a hurricane within 2 to 3 days. So there is pretty high confidence that is actually going to happen. And the reason why, of course, is our SHIPS model. The last letter in the acronym here is SCHEME. It's not system like I thought. So the Statistical Hurricane Intensity Prediction Scheme forecast for 95L slash depression number 2 is as follows. The potential of this. Now, I'm not saying this is going to become a Category 5 hurricane. I don't think it's going to at all. There's no way it's going to happen. Possibly a low-end Category 4 hurricane is what I'm forecasting. High-end Category 3 at most. But the background state with shear, we got to be weary of this. Shear on average, I'm looking at the average amount of shear here, is generally under 15 knots. Even so, we have a couple of spikes here, 15, maybe 18 knots of shear. In general, when you look at the long-term average here along its track, shear is going to be very low. And we're not talking a whole lot of shear of 30, 50, 60 knots that would otherwise destroy this system. Sea surface temperature is definitely warm enough to support development, 29 to 30 Celsius. And look at the moisture plot up here. 70% humidity in the deep layer of the atmosphere. That is incredible. And with upper ocean heat content really favorable, we could literally say pretty much check mark for this, check mark for this, check mark for that. The wind shear, a check mark, and a check mark potentially for our maximum potential intensity, which explicitly shows this at a category 5, which I don't think is going to happen, but it is not out of the question. And look at even the rapid intensification probabilities here are at 40%, 7.5 times the climatological mean, folks. Man, that is really high, and that just went out. So yeah, so we're waiting for new data to come in on this, because again, this is now declared as a tropical, tropical. Oh, and did we get the new data? I think we did. Yes. All right. I got some good news. All right, so we're now able to bring this up, the super blend. So here's a look at the super blend, and we can see with what it's showing. Actually, yeah, the GFS is on the northern end of that envelope, and look at what it does. You can see the spread of the models showing with where this is going to go, and the ellipse is showing us where the system could still move over. So one model run does not say it all. And in this case, you can see the Haitian Peninsula. There's only a few members that do bring it over there, while the other plots are mainly right over Jamaica. So Jamaica definitely you're not in the clear yet, and don't let your guard down. This is still on the Ensemble forecast, still aiming it towards. And again, this is the super blend, the Ensemble prediction system, the GEFS, the UK Met Ensemble, the Canadian Ensemble, put together to make a super blend of everything, and we can see how this is going to all evolve. And right now, it looks like for sure over the Lesser Antilles, you all are going to need to be watching that. So we're going to take that. We just looked at that. Here's the latest track. Let's go to Tropical Depression 2, and let's go to here. And so if we go and zoom out, we can see how this is going to all evolve. Look at how tightly clustered that is. So we can see the halves A, the halves B. This is the latest output. And strange enough, the GFS actually wants to bend it back over, which is interestingly, but it is still on the northern end of that envelope, where the halves B is the furthest north, and with the HMON and H-Wharf right in the middle here. So still some uncertainty here, but look how tightly clustered that is. So very likely in the next 3 days, we're going to see this system approaching Barbados, and it's going to be phenomenal. We're going to see a lot of wind damage, folks. Lots of trees coming down, lots of power. It's going to be bad. It's just not going to be good. This is serious. Absolutely. The title says this is getting serious. Hurricane likely this weekend, and this is where we stand. The CMC are outliers, so we're going to X that out. But literally every model, even the GFS, Category 2 hurricane or greater, and look at some of these models up here. There are potentially 3 of them, the HMON, the H-Wharf, and the halves B runs showing a low-grade Category 4 hurricane in about 4 days. Yeah, that is pretty significant when you think about it. That is to be taken pretty seriously when you think about this. And this is showing us, folks, you're looking at how favorable the background state of the atmosphere actually is. Again, we're not supposed, and I repeat, we are not supposed to see this. This is not the time of the year we're supposed to see a major hurricane. Okay? This is not normal. I hate to bring it to you all. This is not normal, and that's why we're here talking about it. And the National Hurricane Center, we'll get to that in a second. I saw someone's question there that NHC is going to issue a tropical depression, and that's no surprising. So upper ocean heat content is also looking significant for this system. There is no issue at all. So upper ocean heat content is there. Sea surface temperatures, we're going to look at the ship's guidance for that. Let me zoom this out so you all can actually, it's not going to work on us. It's not. Okay, here we go. So looking at this again, shear is generally under 15 knots for the next 4 days, and perhaps even under 20 knots for the entire forecast. Incredible. Sea surface temperatures get up there to about 29, and look at this, even 29.5 Celsius by day 5 once this gets into the middle of the Caribbean. And the upper ocean heat content is extreme. Look at this, 118, 98, 35, really high upper ocean heat content. And that is why some models are going very crazy on showing explosive intensification with this. All right, so now let's take a look at rainfall on this system. If we're even able to bring that in, how much rainfall are you all expected to see in the Caribbean? I'll do my best at showing this. So here's a look at the, actually, you know what? Let's go to the GFS here, and let's go over to the Caribbean. So actually, you know what? Lesser Antilles, because that's right in line where that system's going to be moving through. So you can see still showing here potentially up to 9 inches. 9 inches. All right, on St. Lucia, actually it's just south. St. Vincent and the Grenadines could get the most rainfall out of this. The European model, let's see, definitely a lot lower because it thinks, oh, it's not going to be that strong of a system versus other models. The GFS is being most bullish on this. We're looking at a range of about 4 to 7 inches of rainfall with this. Now, another thing that we're going to also see is if we go to the surf forecast, high waves, big wave action. Wave Watch 30, that's probably the GFS version. Let's go to the Caribbean and look at the waves coming with this system. Watch this. Watch this. If we go forward, look at those waves right there hitting, and there's no Lesser Antilles sector here. Darn it. I wish there was. But this is really, actually, I got a little closer and zoomed in view here. 35 to even 40 feet. 35 to 40 feet of waves, of crashing waves with this. That's how big the system actually is, or how intense it's going to be. And then even the European showing waves possibly up to 35 to 40 feet. Maximum individual wave heights here. Wait. Oh, that's the maximum individual wave height of 38 feet. Sorry. Significant wave height, 18 feet. Come on. It's going to be higher than that because of what we're seeing. So definitely some high surf. You can name it. Going to the beaches, probably not a good idea because of how strong this system's going to be. It's going to be, you guys need to get prepared. Essentially, this is the tropical depression already. And yeah, that really escalated very quickly. And usually I go here and see, and yep, we'll initiate on Tropical Depression 2 at 5 p.m. So this will be our first official advisory on Tropical Depression 2 once it comes out, and it looks like that will be 2 p.m. So we're going to wait patiently, folks. We're going to keep this live stream going until the National Hurricane Center gets that cone of uncertainty, and then we will bring that all to you on the air as it comes in. As we get new data in the computer model world, we'll bring you that information. But until then, we're going to just be looking at some hurricane models and better and analyze this a little closely. Once again, the halves A and the halves B, boy, are very, very intense. Probably halves B is more on par down the middle with most of the other models, showing a major hurricane moving over Barbados, if you're on the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia. Wow, I'm telling you. For those 660 people watching, make sure you share this information with your family and friends on social media. You have to hit that like button, folks. Let's get this out to a lot of people because we are providing you some live information as this comes in to the weather office live on the channel. We've got recon data that will be flying the system probably even tomorrow. Doesn't surprise me. They're probably going to investigate the system tomorrow for sure, as this remains a big threat. And raise your hand in the chat who likes tail Doppler radar missions, because I'll tell you what, pretty exciting to see that. And here's some examples of that. If we actually look at, this is not from a tropical storm or anything. This is kind of an example. Let's see if we can bring that up. This is basically a training mission showing us that. So this is what it's going to look like. Actually, let me actually go to last year, and let's go to Lee. We bring up Lee. Lee. Well, let's use Idalia. So, Idalia. Still can't get it right, but you can see this is what we're going to be looking at. Once tail Doppler radar missions fly into tropical depression number 2, we are going to get a skeletal view of what the inside of a tropical storm or hurricane looks like. This is going to be exciting, folks. I cannot wait to see them fly into there, and we're actually able to get you some live data. Who likes that? Again, a lot of people are probably raising their hands in chat, liking that, because that's some new resources that we have in this year's hurricane season. We started using it last year. We're really going to use it a lot this year, as long as the National Hurricane Center is able to fly into those systems. And if we actually take a look at their mission schedule, we can see that not today, but tomorrow, we click on tomorrow, we can see they're going to be flying. Now, of course, this is depression number 2 already, so they're probably going to have to get more flights going into the system if necessary. And they will, and you can see a NOAA P3 tail Doppler radar missions into tropical depression number 2 for 0Z on July 1st. So that will be not tomorrow. Wait. No, that won't be tomorrow. That will be on Sunday, because 0Z on the 1st of July is actually the 30th of June for American time. And then they'll be doing it again. So they're going to be doing 2 flights into this. All right, 2 flights into the system, which is going to be exciting. And actually, they're going to be doing 3 of them. Never mind, 3 missions of that. So that's going to be very helpful. That's going to be exciting. And because of how serious this situation is, I might bring tomorrow evening, we'll be doing a live stream, not tomorrow morning because I'll be at work. I'm going to have to see if we can get Weather Nazario. He is a hurricane specialist. He actually did fly into hurricanes when he was younger. You can find his YouTube channel by going to WX Nazario. The Weather Nazario Center, I think that is. And yeah, I think it's probably we're gonna need to collaborate on this system with Pat's Path Predictor, Weather Nazario as well, because of how serious this situation is actually getting. So we're gonna be waiting for new data from the National Hurricane Center when that advisory comes out. In the meantime, let's get to questions. Do you guys have any questions at all? Because of how many people are watching, we have almost 700 people watching this live stream right now. So I'll try to get to questions as quickly as I can. But with a lot of people watching, it's going to be tough. Can I come on for a bit? Pat, absolutely. We'll bring Pat on really quickly right now, which is a hurricane expert as well. He does go to college. He is going to, I think, Ohio or Indiana, something like that. Yeah, Ohio or Indiana State University. So let's actually bring him up. Our hurricane expert here, Pat's Path Predictor. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so okay, my audio keeps on going out. All right. Okay, my audio keeps on going out. I'm having a sound card issue, so I do apologize by that. So yes, yeah, Pat is very advanced in a way with the tropics, like Weather Nazario, and boy, We have a tropical depression already, Pat's Path. We already have a tropical depression we're looking at here.
It's not official at NHC, but we can consider this a tropical depression right now. The next 30 minutes are going to be telling, because the next 30 minutes is going to
Oh my gosh. Hold on, folks. My audio, I'm sick of this computer. It keeps on going out. This is bullcrap. Can you hear me?
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. My audio kept on going out. It does that very frequently. I do not understand if it's a sound card going out, but it does that. So right now, I changed the connection, and I'm hoping it doesn't do it anymore. But again, this is a live look at satellite. We are waiting from the National Hurricane Center to declare this as official. It kind of is, because they're saying that they will have a tropical depression on this by the 5 o'clock AST time, which is 2 o'clock my time. So in about 30 minutes, we are going to be able to bring you that information as it comes in. This is going to be a little longer stream than typical because of that. So yeah, if you guys are new, come on down. I invite you guys to come on down, take a seat, and watch this live stream, because again, we are waiting from the National Hurricane Center for latest data. And I'll tell you right now, Pat, winds with this could max out at 140 miles an hour. Halves B and halves A.
It's going to be determined on a few factors. Number one, what's the wind shear going to be like as it approaches the Lesser Antilles? It's going to be relatively low. We don't know if it's going to unexpectedly pick up, just like just like Lee did when the wind shear unexpectedly just ramped out of nowhere. So now is saying that there might be a bit of dry air intrusion if the moisture does not come. I'm trying to find the words for it. The moisture is not as strong as the models are projecting. That's the second thing we're looking at. Warm water, absolutely there. Ocean heat content, absolutely there. What's the final key ingredient? Well, what's the vorticity going to be? I can guarantee you it's going to be quite strong. And if you're in the Lesser Antilles, it's going to be a long next 3 days as this organizes and develops. I personally think this has a possibility to rapidly intensify. And that's because we're in the best conditions that June has to offer. I have seen, this is better than June 2020. These are the best June conditions I've seen since 2005.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I agree with you, Pat. Everyone agree with Pat on that. And I watched Mark Sedeth on YouTube this morning, and the vibe coming out of his voice is, this is serious. I don't like hearing that from Mark Sedeth very often, because the conditions, I mean, dude, you guys, ask yourselves, are we really in June 28th, or is this August 28th? I mean, ask yourself, this is unusual favorable conditions. And speaking of that, by the way, Pat, if the HAVS-B comes correct, if the HAVS-B, which is a hurricane model, shows 149.4 mile an hour winds at hour 111 from the 12Z run. His speed specific south of Hispaniola, which would be...
Yeah, that's a problem if that's the case. Personally, this is a wait and see for me right there. This thing is a huge hurricane contender. Wait, is the NHC advisory out just yet? I just saw something. Not yet.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. It is. It's out. It's out. It's
They're
out.
calling for a 105 mile per hour peak, according to one of the guys in the chat.
Wait, where?
I have no idea. Go look at the discussion or the forecast advisory.
Okay,
I want to
Austin.
check.
Okay, Austin is saying 100. Okay, that's a category 2. That
That's a
matches.
mid-
That matches with my thumbnail. My thumbnail clearly states that.
Yeah. Okay. Go into the forecast advisory and let's see what it looks like.
Okay, let's read this. We got to read this. All right.
I agree.
Are you all ready? Because we're going to read this out to you all that are watching. Again, invite people to come and sit and watch the big screen, movie theater style. All right, I'm going to
Let's just skim through more of the dynamics part. I want to get to the important parts as well, because I know our audience doesn't understand a lot of these technical terms. So let's just get to let's just get to the important stuff. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll look at the dynamical stuff right now.
All right, I'm gonna read this though, please. I would like to read this to people.
Oh, please go right ahead. I was just telling you.
All right. So this is from the National Hurricane Center regarding Tropical Depression number 2, discussion number 1, the first advisory. The low pressure system that the National Hurricane Center has been monitoring over the central tropical Atlantic has now developed sufficiently organized deep convection in bands around the center with a close circulation. In addition, visible satellite images show that the circulation has tightened and the center now appears very well defined and closed. Thus, a tropical depression has formed. So let me zoom in on this a little bit so you guys can follow along really nicely. Has formed, and the initial intensity is being set at 30 knots based on the latest Doverick classifications. Development this far east in, okay, I need to highlight this. We're going to do some skimming through and getting some keynotes. Make this your notes. You guys need to take notes for this because this is important. Development this far east in late June is unusual. Unusual. Again, highlighting that bigger is unusual. In fact, there have only been a few storms in history that have formed over the central or eastern tropical Atlantic this early in the year. And
that's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. The depression is moving westward at 15 knots, which is not very fast, not too slow. A strong subtropical ridge to the north of the system should keep it moving relatively quickly westward to west-northwest during the next few days. The system might gain a little more latitude toward the end of the forecast period when it nears a weakness in the subtropical ridge. There is a fair amount of spread in the model guidance, especially in the day 3 to 5 time frame. Due to the differences in the strength of the ridge and the aforementioned weakness, the NHC track forecast lies near the consensus aids and is slightly south of the middle of the guidance envelope. Based on this forecast, the system is expected to move across the Windward Islands Sunday night and Monday and track across the eastern and central Caribbean Sea through the middle of next week. Typically, okay, here's another key point, okay? Typically, oh my gosh, my pen is small. Typically, the atmospheric environment is unfavorable for intensification in this portion of the Atlantic Basin in late June. Okay, they don't say July once for this. All right. However, the overall atmospheric and oceanic conditions appear conducive for steady strengthening during the next few days. Accordingly, the official forecast calls for strengthening and shows the depression becoming a tropical storm tonight, not even tomorrow, tonight or early Saturday, and then a hurricane before it reaches the Windward Islands, which I explicitly show. It should be noted that some of the model guidance is quite aggressive. What did we talk about, folks? Quite aggressive and a fair amount are much higher than the official forecast. For example, the hurricane regional models show that the system becoming a major hurricane, and the GFS only shows the system deepening below 970 millibars prior to reaching the Windward Islands. Okay.
That's wow. Like the fact that we're talking about this on June 28th instead of August 28th is completely unbelievable. And I think everyone in the Lesser Antilles and the Greater Antilles need to take this very seriously, because we are seeing the best conditions, in my opinion, since June of 2005. And we're already seeing a system that is organizing pretty fast. You're seeing another burst of deep convection. I just saw that on your stream, David. We're seeing another burst of deep convection firing up. The main question is, how quickly will this organize into a tropical storm, and how quickly will this intensify? Well, it's going to boil down to if the wind shear can hold it around 10, 15 knots, and if the dry air stays out of the region. But go ahead, David.
Yeah, I need to okay, I'm gonna it's their products are not fully out yet. I need to read the key messages. This is important for 800 people that are watching. This is very important that we really bring this out to a lot of you. Okay, so Tropical Depression 2 is expected to strengthen and be a hurricane. Hurricane, folks, when it reaches the Windward Islands late Sunday night or Monday. Some of our models show Monday early afternoon, bringing a risk of heavy rainfall, hurricane force winds, and dangerous storm surge and waves. What did we talk about? Dangerous storm surge and waves. Hurricane and tropical storm watches will likely be required for portions of the Windward and southern Leeward Islands later tonight or early Saturday. Interests in the central and western Caribbean should monitor the progress of this system. Users are reminded that there is a large uncertainty at days 4 and 5, and not to focus on the specifics of the details of the track or intensity forecast. Okay, so there's a possibility that this does hit Jamaica head on. It directly impacts Jamaica. There's a possibility it could impact the Haitian Peninsula or Haiti by Wednesday, or there's a possibility it could miss Jamaica but hit the Cayman Islands by Thursday or Friday next week. There is a lot of uncertainty, folks, and I encourage you all, please take preparations right now if you're on the Windward Islands. All right, because if we go back, let's just use the halves be the worst case scenario possible, because again, this is producing some deep convection, and there is a possibility that this does intensify at a rapid rate. So even so, it being the center impacts, say, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and perhaps St. Lucia and Barbados. We have to understand here, tropical storm force winds will extend well outside of this. The whole circle that we have here indicates where tropical storm force winds will impact. Okay, I repeat. So if you're on Martinique down here, or Dominica, and then Martinique down here, you need to take this seriously. High surf, storm surge, lots of flooding from freshwater and coastal flooding impacts are expected. And I repeat, I don't say this very lightly. I'm not doing this to scare you all. I'm not causing fear or hypermongering. For early June, or for late June, not early June, that would be a problem. For late June climatology, this is absolutely absurd. This is absolutely highly unusual. And Pat even said, we have not seen anything like this at least since 2005.
Yep. And are you done?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and just break down my thoughts and opinions on all of what we just heard right here. Number one, if you are on Barbados, you forgot. Did you mention Barbados at all, by the way?
Oh, I sure did. Barbados is going to have a direct impact on this potentially. The eye wall.
Potentially, yes. But yeah, number one, we gotta understand that anything west of the Lesser Antilles is in a massive cone of uncertainty. So as of right now, our main focus should not be on the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba. You guys absolutely should watch it there, but our main focus needs to be the Lesser Antilles, particularly the Barbados, Saint Lucia, Saint Vincent, and Grenadines, and potentially Grenada, as well as far north as Martinique, or in Dominica. That's number one. Number two, the fact that we are seeing the NHC going 105 miles per hour on a late June system is something that, quite frankly, is absurd. And remember, and personally, I do think the NHC is going conservative on this. Do I think I think it's going conservative just because, look, there's a lot of uncertainties. We don't know if this is going to be a major hurricane by the time it approaches the Lesser Antilles. I hope to God that it's not, because if it is, there's a lot of mountainous regions over there. That is going to cause a lot of mudslides, especially as you have more moisture and more rainfall with an association with that. Not only that, you're going to have all the trees getting torn and everything like that. And that tropical system behind it could cause even worse flash flooding and mudslides. Because what trees do, I took river systems and landforms last year in my school. What I learned was that trees really hold the soil together. Like they absolutely do. And what we end up, I'm kind of rambling on this, but okay, there's the rainfall graphic I saw on David's stream right there.
Yeah.
If we fill all that up with the first system and that's saturated, then another system moves through, that could cause oversaturation and cause flash flooding. That's what we need to pay attention to. Number two, winds are going to be extremely concerning, especially for those upper areas in the Lesser Antilles. Like, remember, 105 miles per hour is at sea level. The gusts are going to be way higher than that, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 feet up.
Oh yeah. Pat, just take a quick pause on that really quick.
Sure.
I did mention this to a lot of people too, about the topography on St. Lucia. There's a little not really a canyon, but like a little gorge, kind of like a little vaguely looking gorge. Winds, if it hits the island perfectly, sustained winds at that level through that little kind of pass could reach speeds of 150 miles an hour with gusts up to 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. So really quickly, I wanted to look at the products for you all that are watching this. Wow, we have 975 people watching.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Yeah. So for Barbados, there is a 70 to 80% chance of tropical storm force winds that will arrive in your area roughly by Sunday night into Monday morning. Remember, hurricane force winds do come with this. All right, so this is the earliest reasonable time of tropical storm force winds according to the National Hurricane Center. And again, key messages, I've read these already. You can go and click on these thumbnails. And this is the cool thing about the NHC, folks. You can get the information from their website just by going to these thumbnails and clicking on those. Now, we don't have any more thumbnails. This could fill all the way up, but we don't have any watches or warnings out. Those could be acquired in the next advisory from the National Hurricane Center. And of course, we don't have any tropical storm force winds, but we will make sure we bring those to you once. May have to do another live stream tonight from work if we have to address.
Well, David, I was about to bring that up actually.
Oh my gosh. Audio.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For those of you tuning in, if you can hear me.
Yep.
I am. Storms United is planning a live stream tonight, starting at 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. We're going to go on till 11 p.m. to cover the advisory. But what I'm planning to do is I'm going to have multiple of my people from my tropical team on Storms United to cover this while David's at work. And we will keep you updated. We'll look at the satellite. We'll look at the advisories again, and we'll get a better consensus of what everyone thinks.
Also, for those that are watching, I might be live tonight because it's 6:45. I think I have my lunch, so I have a lunch. I have an hour lunch tonight, so we will briefly cover things if there's any new updates, if necessary. It's not a guarantee. But possible. So look for that on my channel as well, because this is quickly developing. And if there's any notable increases or concerning aspects, or if any watches or warnings get issued along these islands, we will probably have to bring that live to you this evening. But before we close down the live stream, do you guys have any questions? Any questions? We can get to questions for about another 5 or 10 minutes. And Pat, it's question time. So look in chat. If there's any questions, help me answer those if you can. All right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I just wanted to hop in here just to let you guys know what's going on. And I really appreciate David for letting me come on once again to kind of allow me to explain explain what's going on. This is a very serious situation that we are dealing with. And it's okay. You got some questions. We have a couple questions. What can Trinidad and Tobago see? Personally, tropical storm force winds, and I think it's Trinidad, but Tobago, I'm not 100% sure.
So Trinidad and Tobago are kind of it's this.
No, it's Tobago. Tobago's a smaller island. My bad.
Oh, yeah, Tobago and Trinidad. So Tobago is probably going to get closer into that wind field. Again, Tobago's over here, Trinidad. Trinidad right now, if we specifically look at the NHC cone, you're barely in the cone right now. So not saying that it's not going to hit you guys. Still, again, stay up to date as this gets closer. But the areas that I think it's ground zero, Barbados. I see something. I can just see something hitting Barbados. And I hate saying that, but there's been a lot of confidence in the model runs. I mean, look at this. The 06Z from the half speed had it just to the south. This run has it literally only a little further north. So there seems to be an evolution here that these areas really need to be watching. And that's what the cone of uncertainty illustrates here. It illustrates the uncertainty. So Trinidad and Tobago, you could have tropical storm watches out tonight. We'll see if those turn into warnings. Okay.
Okay. I'm on St. Vincent. Should I be worried? St. Vincent. Oh yeah, they're right in the cone of this.
Oh yeah, St. Vincent. Yeah, serious. By the way, for 900 people that are watching, hit the like button. I had someone.
Yeah, please smash the like button.
Yes, because Kimberly said only 843 people watching and only 189 likes. So if you guys could hit that like button, that would really mean a lot.
Yeah, and sub to David's channel too. He would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna take some more questions. I can answer some while you're doing whatever you're doing, if that's okay.
All right. I got a couple.
Sure.
I got a couple of compliments from Annie Welch. This is a very detailed update. Watching from Barbados. I do appreciate that very much. I try to make these as detailed as I can. Purpose of the live streams is to do that. If it's a video discussion, I'm trying to keep those a little shorter. So you might end up seeing a lot more of these live streams during the hurricane season. I'll do at least 2 or 3 videos a week, but depending on the situation, like this, needs a live stream attraction. Tomorrow, again, maybe tonight, but for sure tomorrow afternoon, after I get home from work, we're going to go live again on this system. So I'm going to be very busy on YouTube. There's no doubt about it. I'm watching this like a hawk. So are you, and so am I. And so is Pat's Path. All right.
Yep, I will be watching it tonight. Okay, I'm in Grenada. Should I be concerned? yes, I should be. You should be definitely be concerned. It's in the cone with this. We'll have to pay attention with how that track goes. All right. I'm looking for some more comments that potentially are asking questions. Please ask some more questions. If David can't answer them, I am more than happy to do that. I got a couple questions about if this thing is going to go into the Gulf. Way too early to tell. We're not going to even consider that right now. Because it's so far out that the models are so uncertain about it. It's just it's just not going to do. It's just not feasible to kind of comment on that right now. But anyway,
All right. Okay, someone
sorry.
said Jamaica. Once again, there's a lot of uncertainty as far as it goes for Jamaica. I know a lot of you are curious, and that's good. That's good to be curious. Now, specifically from the National Hurricane Center's official outlook, the point of origin is literally just southeast of Jamaica. So that means there is higher than usual chances that a tropical storm hurricane could impact your area by Wednesday. But again, this cone of uncertainty, I want to explain this to all that are curious. The cone of uncertainty is not the radius or radii of winds. It's the cone of uncertainty. So let's just say, okay, the system might do this, right? And then maybe it bends down. Or maybe it starts a little further south and maybe it's going to do this and then turn up and go that way, right? So this is basically your ensemble cone. So if it goes here, it might hit the Haitian Peninsula, like we think is going to happen, perhaps. That would be, again, for Haiti, for the Dominican Republic. Jamaica is in that cone of uncertainty, and hence is why I say cone of uncertainty. That's the nickname I give this. It's the cone of uncertainty, not the cone of radius winds. All right.
All right. I have a question. How far is it away from Barbados? It's 1,200 miles away right now. It's about, I'd say, about less than 3 days away. No, about 3 days from now, moving at around 15 miles an hour.
So to be specific, right now, according to ZoomEarth.com, this is right now 1,240 miles. That's how far it is away from Barbados right now.
Yeah, it's about where the NHC puts it anyway. So, yeah.
But specifically, if we follow the cone of uncertainty right now, this is roughly about 1,360 miles from St. Vincent and the Grenadines is where, how far this is away.
All right. I see the ensemble mean showing a more southern track on the tropical tidbits. What do you think about that? The more the storm strengthens, the further north it's going to push. I don't think it's going to be moving farther south than, say, Saint Vincent. I don't think as of right now, but we'll have to pay attention to that. We can before it reaches Jamaica? Too early to tell.
All right, Aston Gooden says, "What about the watch for the Lesser Antilles?" Wait, we don't have a watch out, do we?
We do not have a hurricane watch as of right now. I fully expect it to be issued at 11 p.m. tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. What about St. Lucia? Should we be concerned? St. Lucia, absolutely. St. Lucia, I would really, in my personal opinion, my job is to make sure you all are prepared as early as possible. I'm your hurricane watch or your tropical storm warning or watch. I would say, in my honest opinion, this is 3 days away at least. You should be one, if you're on St. Lucia, or the entire island. If you're on Barbados, to be safer than to be sorry, I would board up your windows to do any boarding up that you need to do with your house. All right. Make sure, if necessary, I don't want to scare the bejesus out of you guys, I would evacuate the island within a couple of days.
Let's hold on, Dave. Let's leave that to the local officials
Okay.
because they know better than the both of us. We know about hurricanes. They know about the population.
Okay.
We can understand demographics. Let's let them decide what is best.
Okay.
That's my best. That's my most honest opinion. Listen to local officials. If
Yeah.
they tell you to get out, get out. If they tell you to shelter, most
Oh my gosh, my audio again. You there?
That's why I wanted to get out there.
Okay, sorry it blipped out there. What Pat was saying is listen to your local officials. If they tell you to evacuate, don't hesitate. Get out and get out now. All right? Because you're looking at wind gusts. These are not no 10 or 15 mile an hour wind gusts. These are 142 mile an hour wind gusts. And specifically, if the half speed comes correct, those are 170 mile an hour wind gusts, possibly approaching the southern tip there of the Haitian Peninsula of the Dominican Republic. So yeah, this is a big deal. Very big deal.
Yes.
And I just
This is a huge deal.
And I just pray that you all are going to take this seriously. I mean, come on. It's early June, or late July, or late June, early July. There we go. I got it correctly. Man, I'm just spitter spattering things out here.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But I could only do so much for you guys. Okay? You guys.
It's same here.
How about this? I help you guys, but you help me. Right? So I'm helping you guys get prepared, but you have to follow through with that by listening to your local officials.
Yes. Yeah, essentially what we're doing, sorry if I'm laughing a little bit in the background. Anyway, what David and I are trying to say is we're giving you the weather forecasts. We're giving you the updates that the models are showing you. What you guys need to do with that information is information is kind of if the local officials tell you to evacuate and tell you what you need to do, this is why. This is why they're telling you this. They're looking at the same stuff we are. They probably don't know as much meteorology as we do, but they definitely are getting their orders from the government and from meteorologists that do know what's going on.
Oh my.
So,
hey, Pat, big burst of deep convection. Big burst of deep convection.
Let me take a look on infrared on tropical tidbits. Deep convection right there. I'm going to be very worried about what we're going to see tonight because that's when the diurnal max starts picking up. And essentially tomorrow, go ahead.
For those that are curious, explain what the diurnal max is.
Essentially, in layman's terms, the reason cloud tops in in tropical thunderstorms don't do as well, don't get as cold in the days they do in the night is because the sun is kind of putting a bit of a ceiling on it. As soon as it turns into night, there's no ceiling at the anymore because there's no radiation coming from the sun for the next little while. That's kind of the layman's terms of it right there. Yeah, I hope I explained that well enough.
Yeah, you did really good. So yeah, look at the deep convection recently popping off. All right. Oh my goodness. Almost an hour and a half. Okay, we'll do 5 more questions. 5 more questions. By the way, I thought I had a question saved or my answer or a question for you guys, but I guess I forgot about it.
Please leave your questions in the chat so we can answer them.
Yes. Also, just a general heads up, I might live stream this evening if necessary. It's not
And I will be live streaming on Pat's Path Predictor with my guys at Storms United. So be sure you do not miss that because we will be covering this just as David has been. He's been doing a phenomenal job, and I plan to help him out as much as I can.
All right. Okay, what are the winds in kilometers per hour? So let's do that. So
what are we looking at here? Let's look at Are we going to start with the 105 mile per hour figure, or do we want
let's
to go
just
to the
do
mile?
that. That's
All right, that's 168 kilometers an hour.
yeah, that's wow, that's fast. 168
I
kilometers.
can do arithmetic in my head, David.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Actually, this does have kilometers an hour. Sorry. Oh, so in kilometers an hour, we're looking at 200 kilometers an hour over St. Lucia.
On the half speed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wind gusts in kilometers per hour are up to 233. All right.
Yeah.
Will Houston, Texas be affected?
Way too early.
Way too early. Hey, Texas is not even on the map on the National Hurricane Center. So that is way too early for that.
Yeah, it's definitely too early for that. Something to pay attention to. Okay.
Barbados, 210 to 220 kilometers an hour. That's what the wind is going to be like. Sustained wind is about 150 kilometers an hour.
Tonight, it is at 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, going until 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Same conversion for 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and to 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 7 p.m. Central to 10 p.m. Central. It'll be at 8 p.m. tonight. For those of you tuning in from the Caribbean,
Feels like it's coming to Texas.
It's too early. Too early. Are there any spaghetti models out for this yet?
Spaghetti models. So we do have.
I think
this is a spaghetti model timeline right here. So this is the latest spaghetti models for Tropical Depression 2, and this is what they look like. All right. That's so we have two more questions.
Yep, we got. I have one that I have saved, so go ahead and start, David.
All right. Update for Dominica, please.
Yeah, that was the one I wanted. I had saved.
All right. So for Dominica, I'll just go ahead and say it. So for Dominica, you're certainly going to get impacts. There is certainly a likelihood that you're going to get at least some tropical storm force winds. Winds sustained of 25 to 40 miles an hour with wind gusts potentially up to as high as, say, let's see here, up to as high as 55 to 70 miles an hour, perhaps, as that passes just to the south of say, if you're in the Martinique, if you are in the Dominica Island. It's definitely going to be very windy, tropical storm force winds. Is Barbados getting a direct hit? At this point, on two of the halves models, yes. Definitely getting, as of right now, a direct near or at a direct impact with its eye wall.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I want to answer this question very quickly before we sign off. Any chance that the track will move more north if more intense or more powerful, or is the high pressure steady and strong? There's a possibility it can move a little bit up to the north, but we're looking at an Azores high in the 1030s, so it's going to take a lot to push it much further north than I would say like St. Lucia or even Martinique. So I just wanted to answer that very quickly before we signed off.
Yeah. Okay, can you look at the GOES 16 Meso 1 imagery? Oh, they do have that out, I guess. Okay, GOES 16 Meso 1. So this is a GOES 16 Meso 1 imagery. Oh, yeah, look at that deep convection right there. Right before the sun sets. Very explosive deep convection.
Yep, I'm watching it on Tropical Tidbits too. The Dvorak is going crazy with this right now.
Oh, really?
Long range infrared. Yeah, the Dvorak's going crazy with this. Dvorak infrared, yeah, we're closing in at minus 90 cloud tops. Now, this is concentrated in a very small area, so it's going to be very determinate on what happens in the next few hours.
Man, a living. That is very intense deep
What I mean,
convection.
I don't think the advanced Dvorak technique has it for this just yet. I'm talking like Dvorak satellite on tropical tidbits.
All right. Okay, you guys, it's 2:10. I have to get ready to head off. Thanks for all you do. Cancun is in danger.
Too far out.
Too far out. Will Grenada be affected? Again, Grenada, there is a possibility that Grenada will be affected by this, especially if the system passes right over you or just to the north. You're going to get some intense westerly winds on the southern side of the circulation. Yeah.
All right.
Caden is asking, will I be back? As in, will I be live? It really depends on the situation tonight. If there is a need, if there is new watches, warnings, or advisories out from the National Hurricane Center, and it's needed that I go live, I will do like a 35, maybe 40-minute live stream.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that being
Standard time.
With that being said,
Sorry.
Yeah. So with that being said, I might be live tonight at around 7 or 7:30. It is not a guarantee, folks. It is not. It's more it's more uncertain tonight. But tomorrow afternoon or evening, tomorrow evening, I should say, Saturday evening, I will be live probably for about an hour and a half, an hour or so, probably tracking this, getting you guys the latest updates if necessary. Since you guys like this a lot. Okay, can my car get toppled over in this hurricane?
Let's not answer that. Let's not answer that because
Okay.
we're going to be talking about damage specifics and all that, and this isn't the main point of the stream. It's just talk about this is a threat.
Yeah. Okay, you're very welcome, Melita Banks. Is Jamaica getting it too?
We already talked about it.
Yeah, Jamaica, again, for a lot of people are curious about that in Jamaica, because a lot of you are definitely watching this from Jamaica.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So right now there is a lot of uncertainty. That cone is pretty large. We will know probably by Monday next week if Jamaica is going to be seriously impacted by this. Once this gets past the Lesser Antilles, we will let you know then. But right now, we can only do so much at a time, and right now, we're really focused on the Lesser Antilles, Trinidad and Tobago, and at times, perhaps even the Haitian Peninsula there. Well, we really shouldn't be covering much of that. We really need to have our focus down here in the Lesser Antilles.
Yes,
all right.
We need to focus on the Antilles.
All right. Well, anyways, folks, thank you all for tuning in to today's live stream on the latest impacts of Tropical Depression number 2. As always, my thoughts in these live streams are mine alone, and making any decisions, please consult the National Hurricane Center or your local officials for the latest information for where you are in terms of impacts and who and when those impacts will be. All right, as always, I'm David Schlotthauer. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'll be back with you more maybe this evening again with another update if necessary on Depression number 2. Share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon for latest updates. As always, have a great rest of your Friday. I'll be back with you
Stay safe.
soon. Stay safe.